welcome to this Monday edition of the Flagship. Yes, you heard it correctly. The Flagship is back. Ben Garrett and I did put our heads together on Friday. We've been doing some market research. We've been talking a lot behind the scenes, and we feel that moving forward, it would be best for the Ole Miss Spirit family, you, the Ole Miss fan out there, to have an Ole Miss podcast each and every day of the week. And so we felt that it made the most sense moving forward to just have a brand that we can go to every single day, and that is the Flagship. We will still have all the shows that you love. We've got Grayson Weir with us right here. So the Velvet Ditch Dispatch, one episode, but it's in the archives. It will live in infamy on a server forever until we are all dead and gone. You'll still get your same daytime fireworks content with David Brandt. We'll do some red and blue smoke stuff with Greg Jones. We'll still have, hit that line during the football season. All of that. We'll have the short session type interviews when our buddy Andy Staples comes on. Maybe Cody Belair, Philip Dukes, talked to him last week. So we'll still have all of these Talk of Champions centric podcasts, but it will be all here, the Flagship, from here on out. So excited. Be podcast every day in your library, in your queue, whether you're driving to work, cooking dinner at home, going for a run, riding the bike, whatever, playing golf, however you listen to us, it will be the Flagship moving forward. I do want to remind you, before Grayson jumps in here and we talk baseball, we talk basketball, this show is still powered by the good folks at College Corner, Sisk Avenue in Oxford, Mississippi. You can also check them out in Ridgeland and Flowood in Mississippi. And if you cannot go in person at the brick and mortar, you can check them out, collegecornerstore.com. Weather's starting to turn a little bit. Beautiful day here in Nashville. So if you need to maybe cop some short sleeve stuff, maybe you need some new polos. Baseball is starting to really get going here as the Rebels win a series over the weekend. Go check them out, collegecornerstore.com, or in Oxford, Ridgeland, or Flowood. That is College Corner, the title sponsor of the Flagship and the Talk of Champions podcast network. Grayson, good afternoon. Friday, not good.
Yeah,
Saturday and Sunday got a little. It was, dare I say, Ole Miss had the game on easy mode, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Saturday and Sunday was what the series should have been. Friday, I don't even really know what to take away from Friday other than that was horrible. I think this team is kind of the perfect example of bullying works sometimes. This team, I mean, they caught a lot of slack coming out back from Hawaii. They caught a lot of slack on Friday night, and then they turned around and said, "Hey, we're here. We're going to do this right. We're going to show you that we can actually win some ball games." 11 runs on Sunday in the first inning is a pretty nice way to start. And then Saturday was the same. Just 12 runs, 12-2. You'll take it. High Point, not a good team, so to lose on Friday was embarrassing. But you bounce back in a big way. So I'm not hitting the panic button on this Ole Miss baseball team yet, and I've said that since the beginning. I'm not going to hit panic button until we get into SEC play and really see what's happening, because there is going to be some time necessary for this team to adjust, for this team to kind of mesh. It looks different than it did last year. A lot of young arms. We'll see. I mean, Saturday and Sunday was the first positive kind of momentum that we've seen from this team so far. So if you can continue to ride that and maybe go into SEC play with 4 losses, you're okay. If not, it could be a long year.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to rattle some of them off. I was in Chattanooga over the weekend, enjoying some fellowship with some friends, played some golf, drank some cold beer. So I was pretty checked out. Did watch a good bit of the beginning of the Friday game, and then everybody at the Airbnb was like, "Yeah, let's just turn it off." I was keeping up with it on my phone. The rest of the weekend in the game 2 and 3 wins, or games 2 and 3 wins, I should say. But yeah, splitting 4 games at Hawaii. It was a weird weekend. I think everyone can agree, regardless of how you feel about this team. And then losing a midweek to Arkansas State, just looking like a dead fish out there. There was just no energy. Just a weird vibe. Lose Friday and just flipping a switch. 37 runs in 2 games. And look, High Point may not be very good, but 37 runs is 37 runs. I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't really matter. Jackson Ross, I think he hit one that landed at Circle and Square.
Yeah.
I mean, hit it out of the stadium. Um, I mean, he raked at FAU, comes to Ole Miss, expected to be in the heart of the order. 9 at bats, 7 hits, 8 runs scored, 4 home runs, 4 walks, 10 RBIs. Is that any good?
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. I mean, you can't have anything less than that. You really can't against a team like High Point. And I know you can expect, greatness and you can fall short and still be okay. Not against a team like High Point. You have to be great. You have to be hitting the way that they hit this weekend. When you look at some of these, I mean, there's a 392, 455, 424, 428, 401, 392. Those are really long home runs. So
Yeah.
if you can keep getting a hold of these pitches that pitchers are going to leave, I mean, especially against the inferior opponents, because High Points pitchers were leaving these balls that they first inning on, I guess it was the 11 inning first inning on, was that Sunday? Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
They gave up the 2 bombs early, Groff, Furness, and then I think they switched the pitcher before Burford went yard as well. And
Hmm.
I think it's the Burford video, but everyone listening now, go back and watch it. The third home run, or maybe even the fourth home run. Don't quote me on that. But they switched High Point, switched the pitcher, immediately gave up a home run, and the pitcher just kind of looks back at his dugout like, what? Well, I don't know. I don't know. They just hitting the ball. They just found the spots, and it was a really positive sign. I mean, I think the bigger takeaway too, this pitching was there this weekend. Even on Friday, right? Like a 7-3
Yeah.
loss, not ideal. And giving up 7 runs to High Point is not a good performance. However, JT Quinn is still figuring it out. He's feeling it
Hmm.
out. I mean, 3 runs in 3 innings, not good. 5 walks, not good. 6 strikeouts, pretty good in three
Yeah.
innings. If you can continue to kind of avoid those throwaway pitches and stick to what was working, that's
Yeah.
good. Riley Maddox came in, pitched pretty well. I mean, yeah, you're giving up 2 runs, but again, all things considered, if your middle of your bullpen is giving up 2 runs in the middle of the order and JT Quinn can figure out how to not give up 5 runs, that's good. And then Tukian came in and Calhoun came in and closed the door. They didn't
Yeah.
close the door, but they were losing, but they didn't give up any runs. Then you look at Saturday, Gunnar Dennis did what Gunnar Dennis needs to do. I said
Yeah.
it on our first edition prior to the lone edition of the Velvet Ditch Dispatch. Gunnar Dennis is kind of the key here. So you've got him going 4.2 innings with 8 strikeouts. That's a great outing.
Yeah.
2 walks, 1 earned run. That's a great Saturday. Can you do that again? Because then you hand it over to Mallets, who, yes, he's a closer, but Mallets is kind of more of a long reliever in a way. It's a really
Yeah.
interesting dynamic with him to where he can go. You don't need just 3 outs from him. You can stretch him 2, maybe even 3 innings. So if you can get some Mallets in situations on Saturday and Sunday, that's great because then you can hold
Yeah.
those relievers for other days in the week. And then you look at Sunday, Saunier was pretty good. I mean, 5 Ks, 1 earned run, 2 walks. It's a good outing in 4 innings. You'll take that. 3 hits, like that's a good day. Doyle came
Hmm.
in, did the same. Simmons, I mean, that kid's gonna be a freaking monster once he's not 12 years old. He's already awesome. Um, Spencer Connor, close it out. Like you're looking at it, 11 Ks on a Sunday, great. 12Ks on a Saturday, really good. Like these are all positive signs that you just hope to build on now. And you can't lose to Little Rock. You can't lose to Missouri State. You can't lose to Iowa. You can't lose to Memphis. You can't lose to Morehead State. You can't lose to ULM. So Ole Miss needs to go undefeated. I'm okay if you drop one to Memphis. I'm okay if you drop one to Iowa. You can't lose to Morehead State. You can't lose to ULM. Can't lose to
Yeah.
Missouri State. Can't lose to Little Rock. And you ideally go into SEC play with 4 losses. Fine. And then you start right
Mhm.
out the gate. South Carolina is a very good program, and they're going to be a tough competition to begin the year at SEC play. But it's at home, middle of March, should be pretty nice. Everyone's going to show out for the SEC play, so there's going to be a packed house against a good team, but a team that's beatable. South Carolina proved the last couple of days that you could beat them. And
Yeah.
so if Ole Miss can start it off and really kind of go undefeated through the remainder of the non-conference schedule and then start it off with 3 wins against South Carolina, you're right back in the driver's seat of, okay, this team is a tournament team. Because as of right now, this team is not. This
Mhm.
team is not a tournament team as of right now at 4-4. If you ignore the losses and just look at the last 2 days and just ignore everything except for Saturday and Sunday, this team is a tournament. So uh, it's a weird dynamic, and there are a lot of people that are saying fire Mike, fire Mike, fire Mike. I get it. I understand. 4 losses to begin the year, really embarrassing. Don't panic yet. Don't hit that
Yeah.
button. Relax. It's okay.
The roster was completely flipped on its head to a certain extent. I mean, bunch of
Mhm.
transfers, and then you're also counting on a ton of either true freshmen or true sophomores that either didn't play a lot last year, um, or just were very good as true freshmen. But also, you mentioned people being beatable. I mean, look, it's baseball. It's a weird sport. You're trying to hit a round ball with a round bat. Doesn't make sense. Look, Ole Miss isn't the only one taking it on the chin.
No.
Just running through the scores here. LSU lost to Stony Brook on Friday, shades of 2012 in the Super Regional.
Mhm.
You had running through the Sacramento State beat UC Santa Barbara, who's top 25 team. Um, Auburn beat Iowa, who's a top 25 team. You had there were a ton of upsets over the weekend. Um, Hawaii scored 12 on NC State. It was a
Yep.
top 15 team. Um, you flip it over to Saturday, the weirdness continues. You've got uh, let's see, Belmont whips South Carolina 11-2. South Carolina's top 25 team. Um, you
East
had
Carolina struggled yesterday.
ECU and North Carolina went head to head over the weekend. ECU did get a win on Saturday. Then you've got, I mean, there was a ton of upsets. Ton of scores. Oklahoma State, unranked, beat Arkansas in extra innings in in Arlington at Globe Life.
The game of the year probably so
Hawaii,
far.
Hawaii beat 13th ranked NC State on Saturday. Um, and then on Sunday to wrap up the weekend, I mean, the theme continues with teams losing to teams that they have no business losing to. Wichita State hangs 12 on Iowa. Iowa's probably dropping out of the top 25 after losing 2. Um, I mean, you had Gonzaga grabbed 1 against Vandy, who's a top 10 program. You had, I mean, Stony Brook gave LSU all they could handle over the weekend, scored 10 on Sunday, still lost, but scored 10.
Mhm.
Um, you have, I mean, Hawaii lost on Sunday, but 10-8. I mean, so this whole notion of Ole Miss is the only team struggling out the gates, it's baseball, man. It's weird. It's a weird game. Um, we say it all the time. It's a sport where if you're good 3 out of 10 times, you're considered elite. So yeah, don't hit the panic button yet. It's a team that's still finding itself. The bats came alive over the weekend. That's what you want to see out of Jackson Ross, Andrew Fisher. You need these transfers to start to really find their rhythm at the plate, get some momentum, some positive at bats. Because I think the pitching is going to probably be behind the hitting. I think the hitting is eventually going to be fine because they have a ton of talented bats in the lineup. But that's okay. Just score some runs and try to piece together, some middle to long relief and get to the end of games, because right now, talking about transfers and guys, finding their way and meshing and carving out a role. Right now, Connor Spencer looks to be the dude coming out of the bullpen at the very end of the game.
He sure does.
Every bit of mid to high 90s fastball. He's got 1 save on the year, 5 Ks in 2 innings. It seems that he's grabbed a hold of that closer role. Just got to find the rest of the way, with Gunnar Dennis looking pretty good on Sunday. JT Quinn's talented enough that I suspect he'll figure it out and be better.
Yeah, and he wasn't bad. Like he wasn't good. Like you don't want to give up 6 runs or whatever, 5 runs, but he wasn't bad. He was finding his spots. He just missed on a couple of pitches, and they took advantage of that. So if you can eliminate those misses, you're in a much better position than you were on Friday.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
I think that's the big thing is it's just a ton of transfers that are just trying to either find a role or just get settled in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's only 8 games in the season. No need to panic.
No.
And like you said, a lot of winnable games on the schedule. Little Rock on Tuesday. Just got to start just piling up dubs in the non-conference. Missouri State on Wednesday. And then the Iowa series will be fun.
Have to win at least 2.
Yeah, at home.
Have to win the series.
It'll be a good test. And then, Memphis and then Morehead State series before you get into SEC play. This is kind of – now, look, if Ole Miss was 8-0 and ranked inside the top 5, yeah, of course that's fun. This is kind of fun, though, where a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks still, where it's like, okay, let's see how this team can piece it together. Let's see what Bianco's going to do. Let's see what Lafferty's going to do with the arms in the bullpen. What kind of adjustments will Clement and the rest of the staff make at the plate? Because I do think, like I've always said in baseball, where, we mentioned it's High Point. They're probably not very good, but you still scored a ton of runs. Like, you gotta blast bad pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Like beating High Point like 4-1 on Sunday, like it's a win, but you don't feel good about that. But back-to-back run rules, I mean, good teams beating bad teams the way they're supposed to beat them. That's what you expect from an Ole Miss program that has been among the nation's elite for a better part of 15 years at this point. Like that's what you expect. So I find it hard to believe that somebody like Trayson Hughes is just going to be in a slump for the entire year. He hit too well at Mercer. I think at some point he'll figure it out. Andrew Fisher figured some things out over the weekend, hit a bomb. I mean, he's the best third baseman in the country for a reason. MLB scouts love him for a reason. I will be shocked if he is not a much better hitter when we look at this, in a month's time on this show. So, yeah, series win. Yeah, probably should have swept, whatever. But, yeah, just get back, stockpile some wins, man. That's all I got to say.
I think you can lose one game between here and SEC play, and that would be like you can drop 1 to Iowa. You can drop the weird midweek at Memphis. That's always just a weird game. Like whether Memphis is good or not, it doesn't matter. That's always a weird game. Memphis is always jacked up and ready to go. They usually throw, or at least they have in the past few years, they've often thrown their Friday starter against us. Like it's always a weird thing. So we'll see. And then you mentioned some of the transfers who aren't hitting. We neglected a big one. And Luke Hill, Mr. Luke Hill over here. He's got to figure it out. I mean, he's got to figure it out.
I feel like he's waking up at this point.
He has to. I mean, he has to. And I know last week was ugly with all of the kind of off-field stuff and the leaks and whatnot, but be patient. Like he's going to settle in. Yeah, like the coach said Bloomquist said what he said about Hill last year. Yeah, the leaks were probably not a great look. Like, but that's fine. He's a college kid. He's a sophomore. He's learning. People make mistakes. We've all said something stupid in a group chat that then ends up biting us in the butt later. Or you send a text to someone saying, man, I really hate that Zach Berry guy. And then you look and you send it to Zach Berry. It's always like, oh God, like shouldn't have done that. Like now I have to live with those consequences. And to Luke's credit, he's living with those consequences. He came out and he hit a bomb. And when you look at I'm trying to be optimistic towards him because I know he's getting a lot of hate right now. When you look at his 25 at bats, 5 strikeouts, not horrible. So he's getting his bat on the ball. He's doing what he can. He hit a bomb. Like, give these guys some time, because Luke Hill's, the whole thing that happened last week, everyone came after him, understandably so. Bad look. He knows that. He's owned that. The whole hack thing was weird. Like, don't do that. Just own it. But he is. Maybe there was a burner account out there defending himself. We don't know. But that burner account, whoever it was, whether it was Luke or not, said that you're all going to be laughing when he's hitting bombs in the SEC play. I think that's true. I think that's true. It's early. He's transferred. He's settling in. It's a new lineup. Everyone relax. But with that being said, like I said at the top, this team is kind of evidence that bullying works sometimes. I mean, this fan base was all over them for 10, 11 days. And then they turned around and said, all right, hey, we're going to beat up on High Point the way that we need to be up on High Point, and score 27 runs in 2 days.
Yeah.
Silence all the critics. But now can you keep those critics silent? That's the key here. And I think they will. I think they will. You mentioned the other guys. Luke Hill's figuring it out. They're figuring it out. Don't panic. It's okay. It's okay.
Now, I'm not going to say panic. Not in the same realm as okay. Ole Miss, now in the first 4 out, according to Joe Lunardi. Just a bad day. Just a bad day. Poorly from deep, poorly from the field. Just didn't start out well. Now, hand up, I didn't watch it. I was playing golf. We were keeping up with it on the radio, on the apps. We were keeping up with the score. South Carolina's good.
They are.
Lamont Paris has done a great job. They're just I can't really put my finger on how to describe. They just do a lot of things well, and they play well as a team. They rebound it well. They get after you defensively. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing super special. But they just get the job done. And the Gamecocks took it to Ole Miss in the pavilion. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how this team will respond. They're 19-8 right now, 6-8 in the SEC. I was talking with a couple people on Sunday about Chris Beard in year one and this team compared to his year one team at Texas Tech. Kind of similar. Got out the gate hot, beat a bunch of non-conference teams, slipped up on a couple people in Big 12 play, and then just got beat by teams that were better and more complete at the time. So maybe a little bit of a trend there with Chris Beard as he's installing his whole mindset, the culture, trying to piece together with the portal. That's such a delicate dance with finding roles, meshing players, getting guys in rotations that play well together. I don't know if it would have mattered on Saturday. I think South Carolina just better game plan, better team. And Ole Miss just didn't shoot well. Just bad all around. 33% from the field, 18 from 3-point range. That's not going to beat anybody. 4 guys in double figures, but just not enough. Cisse led the way. Brakefield had 12, Flanagan had 11, Morrell had 10. I think the biggest concern right now for Ole Miss is Jalen Murray. It's just something has happened. The guy was playing lights out. He was proving a lot of people wrong that were like, oh, this guy's going to be a role player. He's going to be a floor general. He's an experienced guy with March. He's played in March. Like, he's going to be that, stereotypical point guard distributor. No, he came out the gates firing, scoring a bunch of points.
He was going to be the guy at the start of the year.
Was hitting big shot after big shot all season. And then, I just got to find it again. I think he is a big part of this Ole Miss team and their potential success in March. But, lose by 13 to a really good South Carolina team that's all of a sudden now 22-5 and 10-4 in the SEC. I think the chances are still there. Losing it at home to South Carolina, not a good look with just how it got so out of hand so quickly, but chance against Alabama on Wednesday at home, and then winnable games after that. At Missouri, who is bad. At Georgia, little spunky, hung around with Auburn over the weekend. And then you close with A&M at home. Still think there's an outside shot. Lunardi still has him his first 4 out. Close strong and then win a couple in Nashville and see what happens. I haven't looked at a net ranking in a couple weeks. We'll pull that up real quick as I effort. But, the way the bracketology has gone in the past couple weeks, I feel like people want Ole Miss in the tournament. It's kind of, hey, you got to help us out a little bit, win some games.
They just got to do what they need to do.
Ole Miss right now is at 75 in the net. So 3-6 in quad 1 games. But the good news, quad 3 and 4, they're combined 15-0. That'll work. 1-2 in quad 2. So just got to take care of business the rest of the way. And then I think they're probably going to have to win at least 2 in Nashville, maybe 3.
Yeah, it depends on how the rest of this regular season goes. I think you can't lose to Missouri, you can't lose to Georgia, you can't lose to A&M. Cannot lose those 3 games. You have to win those 3 games. If you lose one of those 3 games and don't make a run to the SEC tournament semifinals, you're out. That's it. You cannot lose those 3 games. I think unfortunately, it felt like the season kind of hung in the balance on Saturday, and then they got mollywopped at home.
Maybe a little bit.
That was really frustrating. But if you could turn around and you can beat Alabama by a large margin, a confident, not a large margin, let me retract that, confidently. If you can beat Alabama confidently in a game where it's not close, or you go up 15 at halftime and then blow a second half lead and win by 1, but if you can go in and you can lead that game start to finish, or at the very least, like go into halftime down 2 or 3 and then come back and win that game, Alabama is a good program. They're also in the mix, loosely for the bubble and the tournament and whatever. So if you can win these 4 games, I think you can go into Nashville and win 2 and probably sneak in. If you drop 1 to Alabama, you're really on the outside looking in, and you got to win probably 3 in Nashville. But let's start going 1-0. It's going to be rocking on Wednesday. I think the students are going to show up. I think not to discredit the students, they've been awesome all year, and they really have been showing up and showing out for this team. But Saturday, I think there were some other parties and baseball and some other priorities. So the student section was there, but they weren't there in the force that they have been throughout the year. They will be back on Wednesday. There's nothing going on Wednesday night. So they'll be packed house, in terms of the students. Space Jam night too, which is always fun. Yeah. So you're in a good spot to where you should beat Alabama at home on Wednesday. And then you cannot lose the next 3. And then you see what happens in Nashville.
It's definitely all in front of them.
Absolutely. First 4 out is not where you want to be when you were first 4 in as of Friday. But it is what it is.
And look, Bama's in a similar boat. Bama got embarrassed by Kentucky over the weekend. So both teams are licking their wounds, trying to get back and win a basketball game. I, I don't know. I mean, I would say Ole Miss is favored in every game outside of one the rest of the way,
Which
or
would
or
they
or
not be?
or at least could win. Maybe not favored, but could win.
Oh yeah, no, I think they could be favored the rest of
Be
the
an
way.
underdog at home on Wednesday.
Oh, are we?
Alabama's a
There's
ranked team. That's fine. The rest of the way, Missouri should be favored.
yep.
Georgia on the road, so maybe not, but should be able to beat Georgia. And then A&M. Ole Miss already beat A&M in College Station. Close it out, and then go to Nashville and do some damage. So
It's all right there.
I don't think the season's over at all.
No, it's not over, but it did Saturday hurt. That
Yeah.
one hurt. You felt that one. You felt it in the players. You felt in Beard after the game. You know, he was actually, to Beard's credit, he didn't really explode the way that I expected him to, because I think he is also trying to say, look, it sucks. That loss is bad, but the season still
Yeah.
is in front of us. So let's worry about that. Let's not worry about what just happened.
Mhm.
Let's put that in the rear view. Let's learn from it. I mean, like you said, Jalen Murray, I mean, there's no way, right, that he's going to go 0-8 for the rest of the year. You know,
Yeah.
that's almost impossible for him to continue to be as bad as he was on Saturday over the next 4 games. And then, unfortunately, as of this recording, nothing has come down yet, but I would imagine Alan Flanagan gets hit with something from the SEC from that elbow. I would be
Probably.
surprised if he didn't, because it was pretty egregious. You can't do that.
I did catch that clip. Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that. And so I would be surprised if he's playing on Wednesday. I mean, hopefully the SEC says, okay, it wasn't like the worst thing ever. Like, we'll see what happens. Maybe hit him with a slap on the wrist or something because it's his first incident, whatever. But I would be surprised if Alan Flanagan plays on Wednesday. I would imagine the SEC comes down and levies some sort of punishment between now and tip off. And that's a big loss if that comes to fruition. I'm not trying to speak it into existence, but it feels as though that, I mean, that was an ugly elbow. You can't do that. There's no room for that in the game.
Yeah.
He knows that. His dad is there to, you know, he knows his dad knows that. Chris Beard knows that. Everybody knows that. You can't do that. And the SEC likely will hit him with I would imagine, a 1 game. Maybe not. You know, it'd be great if he's on the court on Wednesday, but I think you're starting to prepare without him.
Yeah.
And that's a big loss. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of rally around him and who's going to step up. But then with that being said, you know, Morrell was in foul trouble so early, and then he never looked himself the rest of the way. So that's not going to happen again either. You know, Matthew Morrell has not had that problem in his career
Yeah.
at Ole Miss. He's never been in foul trouble that early, that often. So it was kind of a fluke all around, and really bad, really disappointing. I was very frustrated watching every minute of that game. I mean, from start to finish, it was aggravating. I know you won the second half technically, but like, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
count.
what matters. We'll see. The season's in
Yeah.
front of you. There's a lot of ball left to be played. If you can go 4-0, you have a really good chance of getting in. If you
Sure.
drop one, you need to
If
win.
If Ole Miss finishes 4-0, they're in my opinion.
Probably, depending on what happens. You can't lose the first game in Nashville. You know, like you're gonna have to win one in
Beating
Nashville.
beating Bama at home, winning 2 road games in conference,
Yep,
closing out against a good Buzz Williams A&M team.
you're right back in.
Just don't lay an egg in Nashville. I think Ole Miss is in.
I agree. And so that's what you're looking for. Let's finish it out.
Yeah.
And I think that last game, if I'm not mistaken, I was actually looking at one of the baby races elsewhere. I think that A&M game is baby Dega on top of senior day. So the baby races will be there too, which always gets some people going.
Speaking of getting the people going, softball 2-2 over the weekend, 11-3 overall. So shout out to the Rebs having a good weekend up in Clemson. They will be back home this week, southeastern Louisiana, Friday, UAB Friday, Kent State, southeastern Louisiana, UAB to close out. So big, the Ole Miss Classic. So a lot of games this weekend. If you're in and around Oxford, go check out softball, as they are 11-3. So good start for the Rebs.
They're good. I just hope that those 2 losses. I mean, Clemson is a College
top
World
10.
Series
Yeah.
team. So it's okay that you lose those games, but to lose them 14-1 combined in, I think the first game was a 6 inning. I didn't watch Friday, but I did watch yesterday.
Yeah.
Not good. Not
Yeah.
not good.
Weren't close, but losing to a top 10 team is not really going to kill, especially losing in
No.
February.
Exactly.
So
But you can't continue to do that if you're going to be elite. You've got to be able to compete with the Clemsons of the
sure.
world if you're going to make a run. So hopefully that's not indicative of how they'll play against some of these big programs once you get into SEC play. But again, 2 losses to a really good program, 11-3. This team's awesome. Jamie Traxel's a really good coach. They're a really strong lineup top to bottom with 2-star pitchers who can really kind of be workhorses in the tournament. So you're in a really good spot if you're softball. Certainly much better than a 4-4 start for their diamond counterparts.
Yeah. Like I said, rebrand here on the now the flagship. It will be the flagship every day of the week. As I will do my level best to give you a podcast to listen to each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday, talking Ole Miss sports. We'll have all kinds of guests. We'll have our regular guests. We'll have some one-off interviews. We'll have some folks come back that have been on the show before. But we'll be talking Ole Miss sports all spring, all summer, as we hit the ground running, and it'll be spring football here before you know it. And regardless of the rumors and what you might have heard, when EA Sports College Football 25 comes out, I will still be productive as a member of society.
I'll not.
But we appreciate y'all tuning in on this Monday afternoon on the flagship. Appreciate Grayson jumping on with us as always. We've got tons and tons and tons of news, notes, recruiting, baseball, basketball. We got some football at omspirit.com. If you're not a member already, join. Only $1. Get in the conversation on the message board. We'll be doing all Ole Miss sports every day. So for Grayson over there, I'm Zach. This has been the flagship, powered by the folks at College Corner. Until next time, we out.